Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door here, or Sam, as you most likely know me. I didn't want to have to make this video, but now seeing as I was fired from the Dollar General in Turkey, North Carolina, which is located on 7830 Turkey Highway, I have to make this video to warn people to not, well, at least not work there, because you might have to go through what I went through. Now, what is that, you might ask? Well, I'm not going to keep this video too long, but I will explain some things in the past and in the present and tell you what's going on, at least to my knowledge. When I first started working there, it was December 2022, and I worked for Nikki. Now, I'm not going to divulge her full name, but she was a great manager. She treated me with respect. She treated me like a human. I worked with Maggie, Odali, and Wendy. Now, Wendy was also a new hire when I started, so we were kind of learning at the same time. And yeah, I had my issues back working there when I first started out, but for the most part, I was getting paid normally. I was working with people who were friendly. I could actually talk to, like, about my issues. I could talk to Nikki or Maggie about my issues, and they could talk to me about theirs. That's what I really wanted, were coworkers that were supportive to me. Wendy, I feel like she has her own issues. I hope the best for her. She's in my prayers. She did not need to be working in a place like that. And I mean that in the way of she wasn't exactly very outgoing. Odali was great. I loved working with Odali. She was very friendly, very humorous, and she was very nice to everybody. But around February-ish, at that point I was getting like around 30-ish hours a week. And I understand Dollar General's told me multiple times, the higher ups that I tried talking to about a later problem, that the budget for sales associates, which is what I was a normal sales associate, which means I can't change prices. I can't, basically, I'm a cashier, a glorified cashier that sometimes does stocking. And I was getting paid $10 an hour, which is a little bit over minimum wage. But around the point of February or March, Nikki ended up moving to another store. And then came in Joanna, who has been the manager up until now, and she still is the manager. Ever since she came in, immediately when Nikki left, Joanna got in all of these people working there just kind of out of the blue. She got rid of Maggie. She got rid of Wendy. Odali had left by that point because she was going to college. But the only people left there were me and another girl named Brianna, who has by now been let go. What immediately made me feel off about this was that I immediately experienced a loss in hours. Most weeks I was getting 4 and at the most 8 hours, which is not enough for me to even chip in at home with, let alone to live by. I wasn't trying to move out around this time. I'm just trying to chip in around the house because I have not moved out. I understand I'm 22. I'm too old to be living with my mom. But it's half to do with I'm scared of driving and half to do with I'm scared of moving out because I don't feel 22. I feel like I'm a younger person trapped in an older person's body. But yeah, as soon as Joanna started being the manager, the first day she came in, we were not told that she would be going into the office. Me and Wendy were working that day, and Wendy brought it up. She said that it seemed kind of odd that they wouldn't tell us ahead of time that she would be coming in and need to go into the office. So she kind of came in and did something in the office. I don't know. Um, and then she left. And this was literally a day or two after Nikki had been let go. None of us were, interviewed about being the manager, which is usually what you do in a business like this. You would interview the people who've been there for a while. And at that point I had been there about 2 months, which I know I wouldn't have made a good manager. I don't have that frequent of transportation, and I'd like to have at least a little bit of time to still like be free and all that. But Maggie had been there for a long time. And the fact that she wasn't asked by Marcus, the district manager, well, it upset her, and I can see why. And it just seemed really odd for him to not even interview us. He didn't even interview us. He immediately seemed to just not like me. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I mean, if he ever sees this and wants to tell me why he doesn't like me, that'd be perfectly fine. But I will get to something that happened with him in a bit. Then Joanna starts being the manager not long after. I work with her a couple times, and then after those couple times, I am specifically working with uh, either Wendy or a newer hire, Robin. Wendy trained Robin, and Robin is a big part of why I was fired, and I will get to that. Um, because she misunderstood something I said. And I will get to what she said that I said and what I actually said. But then Wendy is let go because something about the tills that she did or deposits she did were low by $200 or something a couple times. Because at Dollar General, if your till that you're using as you're the cashier, if your till is under or over by $4 or over $2, then you can get fired for that. No matter if you took money out of your till or if you didn't, or if you like put extra change, like if someone says keep the change and you put it in there and it goes over $2, you can get fired for that. And even Joanna said it doesn't make sense, and that's one of the things that I was put down as a strike for or as a thing for. And later, again, Maggie is also let go, and she goes to work at another store. I have not kept in touch with a lot of people that used to work here. That's fine. I'm not holding it against them. I can understand. But after a small while, I am mostly working with either Robin or sometimes I'm working in the mornings with a hire named Elena. And Elena was let go later. She kind of just quit. And this cycle keeps happening where people are hired at the store for like at times a couple days. We had someone named Lizzie who was there a couple days and then just like vanished. We had multiple people sign up to work there or like do the hire packets to work there, and then they just didn't even show up. And I was one of the only people who was consistently like showing up. I was the only sales associate back when Nikki was the manager, and it doesn't seem like Joanna even like tried to understand that if I wasn't there, the store would have probably had to close because Nikki was under a lot of stress. Marcus wasn't allowing people to work there. And then it's just miraculously when Joanna started working there, we had all of these people, and then that's when I started getting the lower hours. It went from 30 down to 12, and then down to 4 or 8 a week, which is nothing. I tried multiple times to contact Joanna about this. She wouldn't hear it. She didn't answer her texts for over 3 months about these issues. And then a little bit later, they started like a group chat thing with the people who worked there. And around that time, I called someone at one of the Dollar Generals in Clinton, which is a nearby town about 15 minutes away from here. And that worker, what I asked her was for the divisional offices, which are higher um, than the higher ups that I was trying to talk to, because I couldn't talk to Joanna. Marcus doesn't believe me about anything that Joanna's doing, which she's clearly not treating me right as an employee. She's not giving me correct hours. And back when I was with Nikki, she gave equal hours to people. She gave correct hours to people. She actually made a schedule, and from what I was told by other people, Joanna seemed to be making the schedule just automatically and specifically giving me low hours. A little bit after this, and when there was a week when I was still getting those bad hours, she said, "Oh, Brianna said something about you, that you had messed up the medicine aisle." And, well, I knew good and well I didn't, and I was like, why wasn't I told about this? That I was told that an employee said that I did this when I clearly didn't. And she was like, "Oh yeah, Brianna did say that about you. You've got 12 hours next week." But then the next week I had 4 or 8, which that didn't last long. So later on, we had 2 people stop working. That was the only point where I got the 22 hours, 20 hours, and if I was still working, the next week would have been 8, and then the next week would have been around 18. And this is around the time of the main incident that cost me my job, which, to be honest, I wouldn't love to be working there still. I was still making some type of money, but I'd rather be making money that I can actually use. Um, it was one night later in the night, after I had just had an issue with, over the phone, somebody called me and something kind of important came up, and I was like, I wasn't leaving. It was just, I was sad because of it. And when I'm emotional, like many people, I say things I don't mean. And this time, what I said wasn't, it's not even that I'm trying to defend what I said. What I said was not bad. My coworker Robin, she was in the office, and I was just like, "Don't you think our government does some irresponsible things?" And she was like, "What?" And I was saying, well, what she wrote down that I said was that Hispanic people, when they come into the US, should learn English before they get jobs. That is not what I said. What I said was the US should have better programs for immigrants coming over into the US so that they can learn English so that they can get better jobs. She left out that part, which is a big part of it. Because I do believe that our government is not very good to people who are immigrants in the way that they make them fully reliant on the government, and they lower the amount of jobs they can get by not urging them to learn the language of the country they're coming to. I think that's a very reasonable thing to say. None of that is racist. And yeah, I got called into the office the next day, and Joanna said, "Look, I am of the opinion that people deserve a second chance." So she wasn't really hearing me out when I was trying to explain that that's what I actually said. But then the rest of the day was perfectly fine. She was, I don't even know if it's an issue she has specifically with me, but this whole time, other people were doing things that they weren't supposed to. We had someone working named Samantha who constantly was calling out at 4 a.m., calling Robin and saying "I can't come in, I'm sick." And I don't know why that's a non-issue, but there was literally one day where I had a stomach ache, and I literally have like a stomach ache at work like once every 2 months, so it shouldn't have been that much of an issue. But I had to wait a whole 30 minutes just to be able to use the bathroom, and that was a day where Robin was working and she was like, I have too much to do, and I ended up calling out. I only called out of work twice about halfway through my shifts, and one time I called an entire day ahead, which is what you're supposed to. You have to call at least 6 hours ahead of your shift, I think. I always appeared on time, I always did my job, and then I'll get to what drove them to let me go today. So I went through the 2 days. I worked with Joanna, which I almost never did, thinking that she was specifically like trying to keep me away from her for some reason. And then I got called into the office, and Robin was there, and so was Joanna. And she said, look, if I. She said I was written up a final time for not carding elderly people for cigarettes, because you have to ask for the ID to see if they are 21 or up or 18 or up. Um, so I was a bit confused because Robin had said multiple times she didn't card every elderly person, especially people who she knows that are local, which is still against the rules. She got written up, but she did not get fired for this. And yeah, once I brought that up, she said, no, that's not what I said. So yeah, I got fired for that, apparently. And the earlier incident that I did post about, but I ended up taking the video down because I thought things were getting better, was that, yes, I will admit to this. One time, I damaged out paper towels and toilet paper for the bathroom. That was not the $1 thing, and that is because I have issues. I have sensitivity issues, and the very sandpapery toilet paper, which is $1 for 4 rolls, and the paper towels that are $3 for 3 rolls. Yeah, yes, I did that once. The other thing I did, which literally hurt nothing, and I'm saying that because it's true, was that I was scanning with, we have a thing called an HHT, which is basically a modified phone with like a trigger. I basically scanned a bunch of products to get the prices up to date, because that's what I did when Nikki was there. She said, "Oh, you can use my like login for the HHT and get the prices up to date," because she found it very useful that when I had free time, I would do that. And then I kept doing it past, because when you scan them, you can say like print label, and it prints it in the office, or it like adds it to the queue in the office, and she can just print them the next day and get all the correct prices up. Dollar General now has to wait for Driveline or some other thing to come in and do all the price redos manually, which means that a lot of products do not have the correct price. So what I did not make things cheaper so that I could buy them cheaper. It's not like I put it in the system or logged into the cash register and made everything $0 so that I could buy it for free. That's never what I did. I damaged out toilet paper and paper towels for our bathroom so that all of us didn't have to use stuff that we clearly wasn't cleaning anything. And I'm pretty sure you want sanitary workers working at your store, Dollar General. But yeah, I got, like I said, I got let go. I'm I'm mainly making this video to clear things up, and if I've seemed like, you know, a bit angry lately, or like a bit more stressed, this is why. Hopefully I'll be able to get my driver's license or my permit or something soon, because I need a job. And I'm urging people, if you see an opening to work at the Dollar General in Turkey, North Carolina. If you live in the Sampson region, Sampson County of North Carolina, do not work at the Dollar General in Turkey, North Carolina, which is on the address 7830 Turkey Highway. Pretty sure that's it. But yeah, mainly this has been for me to say what I want to say. I might lose people saying this, even like coming out against a big company like this, but it's been made very clear that this big company doesn't care about the well-being of its um, staff, for sure. I hope that no one else has to work with a boss from hell ever. And yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. Uh, if you're watching this wondering when I'm going to get back to reviews, I guess I'll be back to reviews soon because I don't have a job for now. Not sure what else to say. Just gave you basically the story of what I've been doing for the past 8 months. But if anybody wants to share this around, please do. And I hope that this video will save people from having to deal with this company. I have been Movie Reviewer Next Door, or Sam, and out. Also, another thing I have to add on to this. When I was called in today to talk to Joanna and for her to tell me that she was letting me go 2 days after she said she'd give me another chance, basically the gist of what she said was that if I were to be, well, if she were to go to bat for me, she'd have to have the store we work for be investigated. I can't remember exactly what the organization was, but she said loss prevention would have to investigate the store, which might actually be a good idea. Loss prevention at Dollar General. Why don't you investigate that store? Even though I'm not there anymore, investigate that store. I think you'll find some interesting things. I don't want to say what they are because I don't know what's going on. The fact that the fact that Joanna has her own little like posse working there now, her own specific people that she's handpicked, and now nobody that Nikki had working there who she constantly shit on Nikki, like was constantly saying bad mouthing her, saying that all of the issues with the store were because of her. And I'd love to see what loss prevention comes up with if they actually do an investigation of that store, because things aren't being run well there. Dollar General, Nikki ran your store better. Maybe get her back. Then people would actually want to work there. Maybe it would actually be a friendly environment for your employees.